Hello, are you here to debate?
Yep.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
I'm Jim. I'm 28, and I don't do that pronouns crap.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I don't do those pronouns crap.
Sorry, it's breaking up a little. You said I don't do those pronouns?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I
You can refer to me as a man.
Sure, I can refer to you as a man. Sure. But I don't do those pronouns, Jim said. Okay. No problem, Jim. I get it. Uh what what are you here to talk about?
I was here to talk about the gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay, what about it?
I I don't think so. I have a 6-year-old daughter. I don't want her going into a bathroom that a 40-year-old man with a penis also has the same access to.
Okay. So send
Who
her to the
identifies
family.
as a unicorn or
So send her
whatever.
to the family bathroom. Family bathrooms exist, right?
It's gonna be with my daughter.
Wait, you're gonna be with your daughter? So then wait, what bathroom should she go in now?
I don't. No, I don't mean I'm going to the bathroom with my daughter. I'm
Okay.
saying that if a 40-year-old man who identifies as a unicorn, is able to go in the same bathroom that my 6-year-old daughter, who was scared and little, that is just downright outrageous.
Okay, so again, have her go to the family bathroom.
Isn't family bathroom gender neutral as well?
Yeah, but the family bathroom is a one stall bathroom with a lock on the door. You don't let your
Well,
daughter use any gender neutral bathrooms?
nowhere, everywhere doesn't have family bathrooms. Everywhere doesn't have one of those.
Wait, just confirming. Okay, so what do you do now? Does she go to the bathroom by herself?
Absolutely, she does.
Okay.
Sometimes she goes with my wife.
What places have both man's and women's bathrooms, right, but don't have family bathrooms?
Oh, parks,
Parks have family bathrooms.
lot of small business restaurants, a
But
lot of stores.
small business restaurants tend to only have one room bathrooms. Most stores have
No,
family
no,
bathrooms.
not where I'm from. Not where I'm from.
Okay. What would the issue
I
be
don't.
with gender neutral bathrooms if they all had stalls, right? If every bathroom had floor to ceiling stalls, what's the issue?
Okay, okay. So I took a trip to Europe, and a whole bathroom stall is like a small apartment in New York. I mean, those things are huge, and they are private, and they are enclosed, and there is no access whatsoever, whether it be peeks in the door, floor, ceiling, nothing. They are very, very private, and I do not see an issue if it was if it was truly like that. I do not see a problem with that.
Sure. So you're not
But
opposed to gender neutral
that is not the
bathrooms.
case today.
You're not
That is
opposed to
not the
gender
case
neutral.
today.
Hold on. So you're not opposed to gender neutral bathrooms. You just, like most people, think that there should be floor to ceiling stalls.
Yeah.
So then we'll just
Okay.
do that. We'll just make all bathrooms
So
gender neutral with floor to ceiling stalls.
let's do that. Let's do that then.
Great.
But for you're promoting gender neutral bathrooms, period. No matter if there's stalls or not.
No, I think there should be floor to ceiling stalls in all bathrooms. In all bathrooms,
So
even the bathrooms we have today should have floor
Why
to
isn't
ceiling
that
stalls.
in your debate topic then?
Because writing now all bathrooms should be gender neutral with floor to ceiling stalls is pretty long.
Well, that just seems awful controversial. Seems like you already have the solution to the issue.
I don't think it's that controversial. Everybody has gender neutral bathrooms in their home. I think we're all used to gender neutral bathrooms.
that's a family bathroom. That's a single stall bathroom.
Yeah, we should all bathrooms should have floor to ceiling stalls. We've already went over this.
So I guess I until that happens, I am not going to agree with the fact that, or in your world, wherever, until there are floor to ceiling stalls, like genuine stalls, no peak spots, no under the stall, no nothing.
Yeah, I think everybody wants this, right? Again,
I
even in our current
understand how
bathrooms, even our current
I don't
bathrooms, I think we
understand
should have
how our
floor to
current
ceiling stalls.
bathrooms aren't like that.
Probably to save money. Costs
Yeah.
more money to make them taller.
Yeah, yeah. But then you have like urinals that are like 2 feet apart. But yeah, that's whatever. But yeah, I yeah. I mean, if it was genuinely like that, then that's fine or whatever. But I kind of want to dive into that gender neutral trans crap or whatever.
I don't see an issue with gender neutral bathrooms. They tend to have better outcomes. Right? Like think about
Sure.
this real quick. If somebody really wants to go into the bathroom and assault somebody, the sign on the door is not stopping them. Like whatever the sign is, like whether it's boys, girls, gender neutral, they don't care about the sign. They're just committing the action.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why to me it's a non-issue, like what sign is on what bathroom door.
Okay. I mean, I I just think that it would be a culture shock, if I may, if a woman who her whole life has dealt with normal women bathrooms and they walk in and they see a fully grown man with a beard walking out. I mean, you kind
I
of
don't know
get
that
what
it would
I'm
be that much
saying.
of a culture shock. There's tons of colleges in the US right now with co-ed bathrooms and co-ed dorms. Or not co-ed dorms. Some dorms are co-ed, but with like co-ed
Yeah.
bathrooms and co-ed shower. Like I think most people, like especially people that have gone to college, it wouldn't be that much of a culture shock. You know what I mean? They're used to that already.
Yeah, that's for like this generation, but like people who've already went through college and haven't had to deal with that and have, lived their lives, who are working jobs and stuff,
I would just say
and
we make it.
now have to deal with this change.
Yeah, I would just say that we make it. I mean, it can be a slow rollout, right? It doesn't have to be like an immediate thing. We can slowly roll this out to people. Then it's not a shock.
Okay. But I would like to see the implementation of floor to ceiling stalls before we even think about changing all bathrooms to gender neutral.
Sure, I don't have anything. I
And
don't have any issue with that.
okay, all right.
All right,
So I
so
want
we agree.
to talk about something else as well.
All right.
Kind of about how the trans thing, the LGBT, whatever it is, but wouldn't the LGB be completely outrun by the trans, because those three categories are based off of actual genders?
Huh? I don't understand the question.
Like if you're a lesbian, you're a woman on a woman. If you're gay, you're a man and a man, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't that just completely run over that whole distinction?
No, because I think most people aren't. It's the attraction is to the gendered expression more than it is to the gender itself. But I have had people in who are members of the LGBTQ community explain it to tell me that this is the way they see it. They see if someone says they're homosexual, right? This would be somebody who's attracted to males, right? They are a male attracted to male. But some people have said, hey, if I'm gay, right, I'm just a man attracted to men. So it would be anybody that fits into that social category of men, regardless of sex. I think this is an okay way to view it, right? There are people who are attracted to that are attracted to like specific anatomy, right? And then there are people who are
Mhm.
more attracted to the social categories of men and women, like all that falls into it. So the expression of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would just categorize it that way probably.
Okay. Um, I I guess I just see it as like a illogical house of cards. I mean, I I don't fully understand how you see it. I guess that's just kind of how I saw it. How you know, if a woman and another woman, but they're not actually a woman, they're a, essentially a fake woman, they're a trans woman,
So I wouldn't use the
are
word fake.
together.
I wouldn't use the word fake. I would use the word trans, right? They're not a fake woman. They're just a different type of woman to a cis woman, which would be a trans woman.
Okay. Okay. So why isn't a trans woman a fake woman? Isn't
What? Because women, what do you think a woman is?
a woman a vagina and is able to give birth to a child?
Yeah, so this is where we would disagree. I think a female typically has a vagina and can give birth, but a woman I would mark as a separate thing. Woman is a gender category, not a sex
So
category.
in what point in time did this change? Because as long as I knew, as long as everybody knew, a woman meant the same thing as a female.
We started to make pretty big distinctions between gender and sex around like the early 1900s, just because we saw the utility in it.
Yeah,
And I
step
would say
on
we've
Twitch
just made further
nights.
strides to it now. So like 1,000 years, give or take.
Well, I've never heard that distinction until now, so I I
Did I
don't
say 1,000? Did I mean 100? I might have done my math super wrong on that one. Whatever. But yeah, just
oh,
I
100,
think
you mean 100 years?
whatever
Yeah, I was gonna
19,
say a
whatever
thousand
19,
years.
yeah,
Holy cow.
19, yeah, no. I
Okay.
more meant like 100. But yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
don't see the issue with you guys know I can't do math. Shut up. I don't see the issue with separating the categories, right? I think it actually provides better utility for us because there are those people, because there are people that identify as women and who are male, right? Separating the categories gives us a better purview of better categorizing people in society.
Okay. So why do we need to categorize these people in society? Is it so? I guess they feel more like they fit in, or
There's a litany of reasons. I'd say the predominant one is just we're humans and humans love categorization. Like our brains are geared towards categorizing things. Like
okay.
that's just how our
Okay.
brains inherently work. The other thing I'd be like, yeah, it helps people feel more included. It helps people feel more connected as a group. Like, yeah, I think there's a lot of utility in making sure that people feel uh what's the word I'm looking for, that there's utility and inclusion, right? There's a
Hmm.
utility in making it so that a large group of people don't always feel outcast and shunned and things like that.
So when I go to get a job and I fill out the application paper and it asks me what gender I am, and it comes up with all of these options, and then later I find out that I wasn't chosen for the job because I wasn't a gay man, because the company is focusing more on affirmative action. You know,
So,
why
sure, a few things on
why
that.
is
One,
there
I don't think personally, I don't see how you would choose gay as a gender. That's a sexuality, and jobs typically aren't allowed to ask you what your sexuality is. Second, when it comes to hiring practices, right? I've seen no relevant evidence that companies are making large shifts to hire unqualified people. Um,
oh
I
I've seen that. I've seen that
where
before though,
where
but I'll let you continue.
yeah, I've seen no relevant data that shows that this is like a widespread issue, that people are being hired unqualified just because they fit into some identity group. But I like just make all resumes blind. Just make every resume
Mm,
blind. Like it's super simple to solve that
I
issue.
see. Okay.
All resumes have to be
Um,
blind.
so I want to touch back on that. Um, like Boeing, for example, we've heard that they're getting a lot of flack for their affirmative action, and they're wanting someone more diverse rather than someone who is more skilled.
You
And
are not going to find a single person Boeing hired that was not qualified for the job. That's the problem. Is these people are qualified. So to claim that
okay,
they're not skilled or not qualified is just categorically untrue.
all right, I'll take your word for that one. But I mean, we've seen a lot of at least I've seen a lot of different scenarios where big companies fear the public outlash and all that stuff for not specifically being as diverse.
Do you
So
think
they
all jobs should
hire.
quick question. Do you think all jobs should just hire like straight white men?
No, absolutely not. But
Okay.
when
Well,
it comes down
hold on.
to,
I want to keep going. I just want follow me down this dialogue tree
okay,
for a second.
all right.
You don't think they should? I agree. They shouldn't just hire those people. How do they hire other people that are qualified for the job when the predominant amount of applicants are going to be straight white? If they should focus on, right, hiring the best candidate, you're making the claim that, oh, well, when these people are hired in, they're DEI hires. How do you know they aren't the best candidate for the job based on a litany of factors, right? You're just making assumptions that they're not, primarily due to them looking a certain way and believing that there's some
when
quota in place.
so when a straight white man or whatever with a PhD in something in the career they're trying to pursue, and someone who identifies differently or whatever, and only has a high school GED or whatever, and they choose that person simply because of diversity or inclusion over the straight white man. That's it's a skill set and gender.
So two things,
That's the difference in
two things,
diversity.
two things. One, again, you're not going to find any statistical significance of this happening in like a study in any relevant sense, right? But two, sometimes it's not just about like the education you have or how many years you've had on the job. I, I've hired people for work, and it's sometimes not just about, oh, did I go to school longer or did I work at this place longer? There's millions of other. I would rather hire somebody who I know I can train on the job that has a good attitude than somebody that has a PhD and is a prick, you know?
Mm, absolutely, I completely agree that. But when it comes
So,
to things like flying airplanes, I'd rather have the prick.
but
you know,
again, none of these people flying are not qualified to fly. They're all qualified. They've all have their pilot's license, all of them. And I doubt you're going to find any of them that have like crashed a plane, just because statistically
yeah.
planes don't tend to crash that often. So like,
Okay, okay.
what more qualifications do they need other than being able to
So
successfully fly the plane?
I guess, do you think that companies who are only being run by straight white men, do you think those are? I I I don't know. Do you think that's wrong?
I think if your company is not uh is not what's the word I'm looking for? If your company is not representative of the American population, you're just going to run an unsuccessful company, right? There's a reason why diversity is welcome so often. Diversity brings new ideas, it brings separate
That's
viewpoints, and
so
it
that's the reason that they lower their standards to
again, I don't think
accept
the standards
more.
are lowered. You think the standards are lowered, but there's no evidence that the standards are lowering. Do you think it's kind of messed up that like Boeing hasn't lowered the standard to hire people, but we're assuming that because the people are happen to be women or they happen to be not white, that we're assuming the standards are lower. Do you think that might be a little
All right.
messed up
So
to
I
think?
think I think the issue here is we're talking about about jobs. Let's talk about like college. Let's talk about like applications to college.
Sure.
So Harvard, I heard about this here a while back. There was a big report on Harvard who's hiring a lot more Asian people than white people simply because they're trying to be more diverse. Do you think there's an issue with that?
Uh, I would say no because the makeup of race at Harvard is still overwhelmingly white. Asians only make up 23, or I'm sorry, yeah, 23% of the people admitted to Harvard. So no, I think I don't see it. First of all, I do think colleges and stuff, we should probably look at standards for colleges because education isn't even across the board, right? So some people may be able to do well in college, but didn't get a good education because they went to poorer schools and had poorer outcomes in that regard. Like, why shouldn't they be allowed to like get an education?
I see what you mean there.
Yeah. Like if with education not being even, I can't look at education in any affirmative action way and say that it's wrong because we know that education standards aren't even for every kid.
hmm So how so? How aren't the education standards even? Because I guess when I went to school, I was in a classroom, and I mean, I get like people don't understand certain things as equally or whatever, but I mean, at the end of the class, we all got the gist of what was taught.
Sure. A we could take two kids who have the same intelligence and one goes to a school where the teacher has 10 kids to a classroom. So this teacher is able to individualize lessons really a lot easier
Okay.
compared to a kid with the same intelligence who goes to a school with 30 kids in a classroom. The kid who goes to the school with the larger classroom size is typically going to have worse education outcomes because teachers not able to focus on one student specifically. We can also look at a kid who goes to a school where they have not only comprehensive before and after school care, but they have school breakfast and lunch. We already see in studies across the board that schools that offer their students free breakfasts and lunch, those kids tend to do better in school because they're fed,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
these are all things that can affect, and the kids can be equally the same intelligence. They can equally be as intelligent, but one is going to do better because they have a school with better funding. So we need to just address the fact that schools are not funded equally per student, and we should focus our efforts there. But until that happens, I'm not gonna complain that a college is making it so that kids who come from these underfunded areas have an easier time getting in. Right? It's not their fault they went to an underfunded school.
Okay. Okay. I see. I see your point there. I feel like we need more of a topic switch here. What do you think?
I mean, if there's anything else you want to talk about, we've been talking for a solid 25 minutes, give or take.
Okay. What? I guess what was your first topic there? What was that
We already went
about?
over it.
I
Trans
don't
men and
have it
women are men
pulled
and
up
women.
anymore. Oh, okay, okay. What about
Yeah.
the second one? Did we go over that one?
Minors deserve gender affirming care.
Okay. Oh, I can talk about that one a little bit.
Okay.
Um, let's get your take on this first. Why do you think that is?
It provides better outcomes. It helps children who may be severely gender dysphoric from avoiding self harm and suicide ideations. And it makes it so that they have better experiences growing up, and they have better self love, um, better mental health, better all of these things. So it just leads to more positive outcomes in adulthood when they're able to transition younger.
Do you think it should be allowed if parents, like if say, um, let's say if someone went to school and they identified as someone else and went by a different gender or whatever, and the teacher wasn't able to contact the parent about that. Do you think that should not be allowed?
Yeah,
Do you think there
I don't
should
think
be a
schools should be outing kids to their families. No. I would say the same thing if the teacher found out the kid was like gay or something. Be like, "No, you should not tell anybody. You shouldn't tell anybody." The only person that should ever tell somebody whether they are trans, whether they are gay, whether they are whatever they identify as should be that person. Nobody else should. This is just a negative when that happens.
okay? So I guess I guess back to like the standards of like a family and communication and stuff. I see that communication is an essence of a good family. If you are able to communicate with each other efficiently, thoroughly, you'll have a good family. And I think that without the information that your daughter is identifying as Sam in school and goes by a boy, you know, I but they don't but the parents don't know at home, then how does that work then?
Yeah, I think that when we're looking at these things, this is way more nuanced than just like first of all, if you have good communication at home, you would already know, right? If a child felt comfortable enough, they would tell you, right? Children want to share who they are to their parents. They want their parents to know them. Typically, the only times they usually don't is because they're afraid for one reason or another. We can see this when we look at like the rate of homeless teens. If we look at homeless
So,
teens in the U.S., just really quickly, 40%
okay,
of
okay,
all
sorry.
homeless teens in the U.S. are LGBTQ. So there is a real fear
Okay.
that coming out to your parents will lead to you being homeless or you having worse. I mean, like the worst is abuse in some way, shape, or form, right? We've seen parents
See, but I
who
didn't
send their kids
see,
to.
but I didn't know that statistic.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
That's why I told you.
okay. So, why would my 6-year-old daughter know that statistic?
Well, it's not about them knowing the statistic. It's about them being afraid to tell you for one reason or another, right?
Why
Let's look at just real
why
quick.
would they why would sorry, can
I can
I
give you some examples.
okay.
The amount of
Um
people that I talk to in a day that are adults who are conservatives with children and who, in earshot of their kids, say a lot of anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans. Your kids see when those that stuff is said. So if I'm a kid growing up and I see my parents saying all of this stuff, I would never come out to them. I would be too terrified. They've spent my entire childhood bashing these people in one way or another. I wouldn't feel safe.
see, but here's the thing though. My family's independent. So, um it it doesn't really I mean, we don't really talk about that kind of stuff.
Sure, but let's face it. A lot of people do. A lot of
Oh,
parents
okay.
are
I
vocal
can
about
see
it.
that. So so um gosh, what was I going to say? So, okay, I remember. So why would my child? Well, I guess not necessarily my child. Why would a child be afraid to tell their parents something?
The only
Like,
reason
say
that
like a child broke a vase. Why
uh-huh,
would the child be afraid to tell their parent?
they don't want to get in trouble.
Because
They're afraid of they're afraid of getting in trouble. They're like, who
okay,
knows what the parent did, but they fostered an
so
atmosphere where
I guess
their
I guess
child has a fear of
my
punishment.
I guess my thing about that is, if it ever came down to that, and a child didn't like know their parents didn't like that or whatever, when they were afraid to tell them, that could point me in a direction that maybe the child knows that it's wrong.
No, I don't see wrong. I think they know that they would get in trouble, right? Like there are strict parents who are going to get mad at you for like eating a chocolate bar when you're
Yeah,
not
no,
supposed to.
no,
But
that's
there's
what I'm
nothing
saying.
wrong with
It's
this.
wrong because they would get in trouble.
Sure, I think the word wrong is pretty loaded in the way that it's being used though in the sense,
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I was using it lightly.
No, I know. I'm just saying
Like,
like it's gonna be
yeah,
it's
I
language that's
understand.
gonna
I
come
understand where you're
preloaded with a
coming
lot of
from.
things.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think
they would
that
get in trouble. Yeah,
it's typically they're afraid for some reason, and that parents have not, if your child is hiding something from you, whatever it may be, it's because they're afraid to tell you for some reason. You haven't fostered an environment where your child can come to you with anything and know that you have their best interest at heart and you're there to make sure they're safe. Like that hasn't been fostered. So, I mean, like I was a teenager. I didn't hide shit from my mom, knew what I was doing like almost all the time. My mom knew when
yeah,
if I was drinking. My mom knew if I smoked. Like I would tell my mom. I'd be like, yeah. My mom, I would come home. My mom would be like, were you out drinking? I'm like, yeah. She'd be like, okay. And then we would have a talk about it. Like, right. Cause like I wasn't
yeah.
afraid my mom was going to
Okay.
like do anything crazy. Like I knew my mom was going to beat my ass or anything like that.
But when it comes down to like you said, you were like a teenager or whatever. But
Yeah.
when it comes
I was probably
down,
like 19, 20 when I started like
yeah,
doing like
yeah.
crazy shit.
Oh yeah, same. But um, when it comes down to like kindergarten, first grade, I mean, they don't know a lot of stuff. They don't know what's right or what's wrong. You know, I guess stuff that would get them in trouble, right? And so, I mean, even up to like third or fourth grade, the child's mind, it's just very curious, and I don't think that they are able to make that kind of a decision so early in their life.
Well, hold on. Well, there's a few things that we have to know here. Children know their genders pretty early on. Gender is a concept like neurologically in our brains. Like our ability to gender ourselves happens around ages of 3 to 4, just like developmentally. That's when we're able to start gendering ourselves. So at that age, 3 to 4, a child can feel wrong when someone refers to them as a boy if they feel they are a girl, right? There can be negative feelings that come from that. And I think to deny that this is something that will negatively impact them emotionally is just more harmful, and it's more harmful to them.
So I think that the reason they might feel uncomfortable, I'm not saying this is happening all the case, sometimes it might actually be genuine, but they don't understand the concept yet, if you understand what I'm saying.
No, they have, children understand the concept of
So
gender.
when
Right.
when that just sounds confusing. I'm sorry.
That children understand the concept of
Because
gender.
it's become this big unsprung crazy thing where you can be whatever you dream about. I don't see how little children can fully grasp and understand that.
When did you know you were a boy?
Since when my parents were telling me I was a boy.
Okay, because I've just always known. Like I didn't need my mom to say you're a boy. I just knew I was a boy, and I still do. But
Okay.
you're saying
So,
that the only reason you know you're a boy is because your parents told you.
well, I believe so. When at a very young age, when you don't understand the concepts of stuff, and you categorize your child as a parent into this this category of boy, you know, I think that it takes a while for them to understand and figure out, oh, I'm a boy. When they say he's walking, they're talking about me.
So do you believe that had your parents raised you as a girl, you would be a girl right now?
I mean, I'm sure I would have figured out at some point because I have a penis, but
Well,
but
so just so you know, there have been cases of parents who raised their children to be they've raised they so David Reamer was a child who had a botched circumcision. Because of this botched circumcision, uh his parents, along with his therapist, not his therapist, uh his parents, along with other people who we don't name anymore because they were cracks who did really shitty
Okay.
experiments and
Okay.
whose ideas we don't even use anymore. But because of this, his parents raised him as a girl, right? Because they
Hmm.
raised him fully as a girl. He always knew he wasn't a girl. Didn't matter what his parents said, didn't matter what like physically had happened to him, right? It didn't any none of that mattered. He just had an innate understanding that he was a boy. And that's how human brains work when it comes to gender. Gender is some innate feeling that we have about ourselves. It isn't
So
something that can be influenced by outside things. We just sort of know what our genders are.
so do you know how many? I guess I don't know if you even have any statistics on this kind of stuff. I don't even know if they're available. Do you know how many people are sub- submitting themselves to gender affirming care under the age of like 10?
Under the age of 10, probably not many. Because typically you want to wait till Tanner stage 2 before you start like puberty blockers, which is going to be around
Oh,
the age of
okay.
10, right? Some kids get it early. Like I mean it depends. Like some kids are some trans or I'm sorry, some cisgender kids have precocious puberty. They have to take puberty blockers like as early as 5 years old.
Mm, okay.
So yeah, typically you want to wait until
So,
Tanner stage 2 to start any like medical treatment.
so I guess why would you want to wait? Is there
Well, because you start puberty blockers is the first thing you do, but you wouldn't take puberty blockers before puberty, and puberty starts at Tanner stage 2. So there's just no reason to
mm,
take it. There's no reason when before puberty, boys and girls are essentially, other than their privates, they're the same. Like the amount of testosterone or the amount of like hormones in their bodies
yeah,
tend to be the
okay.
same.
Okay.
It's why most little boys and little girls can play the opposite gender in movies, right? Because it's just their bodies just haven't started changing during puberty yet.
Okay. I mean I can see that correlation, especially like well like even kids shows, you see characters who are resembling little boys who are adult women. I
Yeah.
I think I understand what you're saying there. But so I guess my thing is, I know
Thank
I
you,
was
Will.
5 years old once. I know I was very curious, not when it comes to like my gender or identity or any of that. I just had a very curious mind, and I think it's safe to say that all little kids have curious minds and want to know a lot about everything, and I I don't see how they are able to make a decision at that. I mean, this is like why like you don't
So I think the
take a
problem
loan
is
out when you're 5 years old because it will affect you for the rest of your life.
I think the problem is you think that it's like a conscious decision that they're making when it's not. So like somebody identifying, even a
So
child
so
identifying
you won't
as,
take a loan out unconsciously, right?
well,
That's what
I wouldn't compare this to
so
I wouldn't
there
compare somebody's gender identity to taking out a loan.
so you're referring to like an actual gender dysphoria,
Well, yeah, all like most trans
like a
people are going to have
condition.
most trans people are going to feel gender dysphoric at some point. Not all trans people are diagnosed gender dysphoric. Gender dysphoria is a very specific diagnosis. Not all trans people are going to meet the criteria for the diagnosis, but all people,
So
both
if
trans and cis, can
I'm
be
sorry,
dysphoric at some point.
can I get this in real quick?
Sure.
So so you're saying like a little 5-year-old kid who is a boy and he thinks he's a girl or what, like he genuinely thinks he's a girl. You think that they I guess I don't understand where I'm trying to come across here, but you think that um they should go ahead with all the I'm not like the puberty blockers or whatever, but you think they should start pursuing uh, like different identities or something like that.
So when it comes to whether or not a child should be identified anywhere or not, I actually think it's not beneficial of us to label children. I think that children should really be the ones labeling themselves. I think it's not beneficial for us. Like if I have a child who I've identified as a boy for their whole life, and then they go, "Dad, I don't like being called boy. It doesn't feel good, and I don't like wearing these clothes. I want to wear dresses." I'll be like, "Okay, I'm not gonna prescribe them any new. I just won't call them a boy. I'm not gonna prescribe them any new moniker. I'll let them come up with that as they grow up. But I'm gonna do whatever I can to reduce the negative outcomes that come with forcing them to conform to whatever gender norm that I believe they should conform to."
Okay. So, I mean, you think that a 5-year-old can change their? Do you think they can change their sexuality?
Well, no, nobody can change their sexuality. Sexuality is just sort of innate, just like our gender identity. They're just innate parts of us.
Could they alter their sexuality?
Their sexuality? No.
I should say.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Could they alter their sex or
Their
change it?
sex. So it depends on what you mean, right? First of all, they wouldn't do anything medical because they're not at Tanner stage 2 yet. So there's no need for any medical intervention.
Okay.
Socially, they can
So,
socially identify as whatever gender they feel most comfortable as, because that's social, right?
okay. But I think this is something that, we should be talking about because I could very well see it start happening. Children under puberty, able to make these kinds of decisions for themselves, being
What would
able
what
to.
would be the what would be the reason? What would be the reason here? Again, there's no reason to do medical intervention prior to puberty because your body hasn't started changing in any relevant sex way. Like there's no sexual distinction in your
But
body yet.
but if a child doesn't like what they see down there, I mean,
I think at this
and
point
they
you're
can.
just being afraid of a boogeyman, right? You're being afraid of something that isn't happening and nobody's proposing.
Okay, okay. Um.
Sure, yeah,
So
I'll
it
tell you this:
is.
if somebody wakes up tomorrow and goes, "Yo, let's lop off 5-year-olds Johnsons," I'll be right there with you, saying that that's a bad idea. But like, nobody's proposing this, especially nobody in the LGBTQ community.
Okay, okay. Um. But it is happening like post puberty though.
Yeah, post puberty is when your body starts going through sexual development. So it's gonna be the time frame where somebody who has gender dysphoria is going to start having worse gender dysphoria because they're going through the sex in puberty um, of what their brain doesn't identify with. So like if I have somebody whose brain identifies with being a girl and their voice starts dropping and they start to grow chest hair and facial hair, that's gonna be hard for their body and brain to comprehend with doing that at the same time. So yeah,
So
they should have some form of something that can help them if they have severe gender dysphoria and need the help.
okay. So what do you? I guess. What do you think aside from like the pills? You think they can alter their genitalia?
I think around Tanner stage 2, you could start on pubertal suppressants. Around Tanner stage
Okay.
3, you can start on cross-sex hormones. And then around 15 or so, if you're fully developed and you want to do top surgery, that's fine. And then around 17, 18, if you want bottom surgery, I think that's fine.
Top surgery at age 15.
If you're fully developed, yeah, why not? We let 15 and 16-year-olds get breast reductions and breast augmentations already. So I have no
Okay,
if
but
we're already letting
those
cisgender kids
are
do them.
those are conditions, and we're
So
not
is gender
talking
dysphoria.
about a
Gender
condition.
dysphoria is a condition.
Gender dysphoria makes up a small percentage of actual the trans community.
I agree, but in order to get any of these services, at least to be paid by insurance, you have to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Insurance won't pay for these things if you're not.
So I guess I don't understand why insurance. I don't know, but
Well, that's how most people pay for medical
so
procedures.
insurance wants to see a condition. They want to see something wrong.
Well, you need a diagnosis code.
Yes, absolutely.
So you would need a diagnosis code for gender dysphoria, and the only way to add a diagnosis code for gender dysphoria is to be diagnosed with it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess my point is that they do see the they want to see something that's wrong. They're not just going to chop off someone's breast because they want to. They want an actual condition.
Well, first of all, insurance is not going to pay for something. Like if you're getting it out of pocket, you can do whatever the hell you want whenever you want.
Okay.
Because you're paying for it out of pocket. Like there's really nothing insurance can do because you're paying for it.
So why can men get I guess a breast reduction, if you will? That's in simpler terms. There's a big old name for it or whatever.
What, gynecomastia?
Yeah.
Because we allow cisgender people to have gender affirming care all the time. Surgery to correct gynecomastia would be gender affirming care. It is a medical treatment that you're doing because your body is not in alignment with how you view your gender. Most men don't view breasts as manly. Like when if they grow like breasts, like gynecomastia specifically, like this is going to be put their body and their brain at odds. So we allow them to correct it via gender affirming surgery. Or I don't know what the full treatment for gynecomastia is. I don't know if it's surgery, but whatever the treatment is.
I think it is surgery, but I don't see how that's like gender affirming.
Because what would be the reason?
If you're a man and you're like, I don't want these freaking jugs because I'm a man. You know,
I don't
go
want
and get them chopped off.
Wait. This is exactly it. This is exactly it for trans people. A trans man who grows breasts is going to go, I don't want these breasts because I'm a man and I want to get them chopped off. Right? It's the exact same thing. Quite literally, like word for word.
No. Well, because you're a male.
Yeah, but again, gender and sex are separate in our brains even. Like sex is going to be your body's representation of your chromosomes. Gender is a neurological thing.
I need to specify. Whenever I say man, I'm referring to a male. I guess because that's the way I've seen it my whole life.
Sure, I'm just letting you know that.
Okay. I see. So I see the correlation. I see it, and I kind of understand. I guess when it comes to making that decision, though, I do not believe that. I mean, if you're genuinely 15 and have gender dysphoria, which a small percentage of trans community actually is diagnosed with gender dysphoria, you know, I don't think hospitals should even, you know, play with that question if they should operate on a 15-year-old who wants their breasts removed without an actual condition.
Personally, I don't care one way or another. If your breasts are fully developed, go nuts, in my opinion.
Okay. I won't keep your time here.
All right.
We've been talking for quite a while, but
about 40,
I've had a
about
great
50
talk.
minutes. Yep, no problem. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for chatting.
Respect your opinions, and so, yeah.
All right, well, have a good one.
Hey, man.